Oh, hi, I'm Michael Buckley, and you're watching The Shmee Show.
Live from Hoboken, New Jersey, it's The Shmee Show with Sam Pelissero. And special guest of the day, Michael Buckley. And here's your host, Sam.
Shmee! Welcome to The Shmee Show. It is September 21st, 2021. I just hit the microphone. I have bad anxiety, and it is our season finale. What is good? Today, I have absolutely nothing to talk about. Bye. Could you imagine? Maybe this is focused. Could you imagine if I just left? I don't. I've been racking my brain for days of what could possibly inspire me to find a punchline, make a good Nothing has inspired me. I don't know if it's because I've just been in a different mindset, or if a lot of things that are happening right now are just too intense for me to want to talk about. But I do want to talk about something today, and it is in relation with our special guest of the day. You'll see I get a little choked up at one point because without him trying to, Michael speaks directly to my soul. And in that interview, I realized, and talking to you guys right now, I realized that's why I do the show. Because I'm hoping that any of these conversations that I've had over the last 3 months, that there's at least been one moment for you guys, the audience, that resonated so much with you that it changed your life or it gave you a new perspective. That's why telling stories, our life stories, are so important. One of my favorite quotes of all time is by American novelist Anne Lamott, and she says it the best: "You own everything that has happened to you. Tell your story. If people wanted you to write warmly about them, they should have behaved better." That's one of my life mantras. If that wasn't so long, I would get it tattooed all over my body. And also you'll see me and Michael talk about our tattoos later in the interview as well. But that's the point of the Shmee Show, is to tell our stories. Because obviously each episode is showcasing a specific person's story. I do know from the DMs and the messages and the phone calls I've received over the last 3 months that the small peek into my life story that I've shared with you all has already inspired so many of you. Because at the end of the day, telling your story is not just about telling a time in your life, yada, yada, yada. It's about telling your truth and owning your truth and embracing your own authenticity. Because I say it best: what is the point of microdosing life? To what? Get a little taste of the thrill? To tiptoe all the way to death safely and saying, I made it to death. Oh my God, I made it through life. You're not living. You're dabbling. But life, I want to do everything I possibly can. I wanted a talk show. I've wanted a talk show since I was a kid. So I made myself a motherfucking talk show. I wanted to move and be around people just like me. So what did I do? I moved around people just like me. No one is going to hold your hand, and no one is going to help you get through life. You have to do it on your own terms. And if you can't live your life truthfully and authentically, you're always going to feel like you're hitting a wall. Because there's a point in time in my life where I was not living myself authentically. And I'm not talking about before I came out. I'm talking about after I came out. And I've never shared this. It's a very, very quick vignette story. But after I came out, I was around a lot of straight men because most of my friends growing up were straight guys. And to show them that Sam is the same person, he's just gay now. Well, always been gay, but he's openly gay now. I made it my job, when it wasn't my job, to show them that gay men are more than just what the media portrays us as, or did back in 2010. And doing that, I was forcing myself to fit into a space that I didn't belong, meaning the straight place, the straight space. And not saying that, queer men and women can't fit in there. It's just I was trying to fit in so hard to get them to accept my community. And that wasn't my job to do. And doing that, I dimmed my light and I never showed them all of the chapters in the Book of Sam. I only was giving them a few paragraphs and sentences, ones I wanted to show them, ones that I knew that they would like and want to read over and over again. Because I was too afraid that if they got the full book, that they had that whole book in their hands and they read that shit from cover to cover, they wouldn't like what they saw. That's not the truth. Because since moving and letting go of all that responsibility that I created falsely for myself, I realized this whole time they were seeing who I really was. And I thought that I was doing a job of showing them a more heteronormative version of Sam, a heteronormative gay man, when they knew all along who I was. I didn't know who I was all along. And I had to accept my truth because I was too afraid to look in the mirror. But now that I have accepted my truth, and I'm proud of what I see in the mirror, and everyone around me knows I'm living my life as authentically as possible, that's why I've had so much success. Because there's nothing holding me back. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm doing everything I want to do with my life because I'm free. There's no shackles. There's no resistance. It's amazing. In this conversation with Michael Buckley, it's amazing because he did the same fucking thing. He's going against the grain, and he always has. And you'll see in this interview, you'll probably get choked up at the same spot that I will. Because just like the rest of the Shmee show, if you can't embrace the dark, you'll never get to the light. And that's my little piece for you guys today.
Hi, my name is Javi Perez, and this is Social Club. Social Club is smart, form-focused fitness, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. We have fun, we sweat, we push each other. Social Club is how I deliver joy.
Welcome back, you guys. Next on the Shmee Show, we have our very last special guest of the season. There are 1,000 things I could say about him. One of them being that he is one of the most joyful people on this planet. But I'll let you take a look. If you look up the word joy in the dictionary, you'll probably see a picture of Michael Buckley. As one of the OG YouTubers, Michael had an acclaimed YouTube career for over a decade. Amassing over 400 million views and 1 million subscribers, he made us laugh and made his mark. Although he has since retired, that hasn't stopped the impact he has on all of us. Now in the business of spreading joy and coaching lies, Buck inspires anyone who crosses his path. No matter what drops the roller coaster of life takes Michael down, he keeps his head high and his heart happy knowing the only way to go from there is up. Like he says, I can solve anything with humor, gratitude, and perspective. Welcome to the Shmee Show, the one, the only, Michael Buckley!
Thank you for the introduction.
What's going on? How are you?
I'm so good. I love the word joy. I actually have a tattoo that says joy. Like my whole life feels centered around joy. So I love when you emailed me to be on, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. So,
Yes,
and I get the joy
yes.
vibe from you. So, I mean, I don't know you, but when I see your tweets and I see your Instagram, I'm like, there's a joyful human being. So I feel deeply connected with you without having much of a connection with you. So thank you.
No, thank you. It's really funny you bring that up because that is what brought us together was we were talking, I will not say the names because it is not worth energy, but we were discoursing about very joyless things happening on the internet one time. And I was like, God, like joyless was the perfect way to describe it. I've never actually used the word joyless before because it's such a dark word. But what was happening, you were like, this is so, I'm like, yeah, like what the fuck?
Yeah. But I feel like when you're on the twitter.com, so much of the replying is joyless. And I always just think, what's your end game with this? You know, like what do you hoping to get? And there are ways to present counter arguments that are full of intellect and all that stuff. But I know I don't remember specifically what we were talking about, but really all the replies were just so joyless and we just kind of bonded over that. Yeah.
I know. It was like we found the light in the room. We're like, okay, you're nice. That is not what we want. Let's hide over here in this corner.
Yes.
Which at a normal party, that is exactly how you and I would have ended up meeting anyways. We would have been like, I see you. Let's go chat.
I see you.
So you are someone who is, I mean, to me, at least, is someone who has, when I think about it, when I was ruminating about this interview, when I was writing all the research down, I was like, wow, Buck's in my head a lot. Like without you realizing this, like you are literally, there's so many things you've said throughout your career that I did not realize until of now that I've carried with me. One of them is so stupid, but it's actually something that I think about every time I go to film this show. Is back like 10 years ago when you were doing What the Buck, you were talking about yourself preparing for yourself on camera and how you want to look good. And I remember at some point in time, people were coming at you for getting your teeth whitened. This was during the time where you got your LASIK surgery and you snapped back saying, yeah, right. and you snapped back saying that, you know, what I do to make myself look good on camera, because I have to look at myself for hours at a time when I'm editing it, does not matter to you. And I was like, wow, like, and it was, you obviously said it in a much more like, intelligent manner, but I was like, yeah. And I think that all the time where people were like, Sam, why do you wear makeup? Why do you do? I'm like, cause I'm looking at myself. The way that I want to see myself should not matter to you. What I do to make myself feel good should not matter to you. And that's kind of like your MO.
And I tell people I dress for me. I do things for me because I look at myself on Zoom all day or when I was editing What the Buck show. And it wasn't like vanity. It wasn't either like I'm hideous. I need to do all these things to feel better about myself. I always think that I do have preferences. I like to look a certain way. I like to present a certain way. And my self-esteem is non-negotiable. My confidence is locked and loaded. But if I'm going to look at myself on camera, I like to look a certain way. And right, I was filming a public access show that maybe 12 people were watching, but I wanted to iron my shirt and and also I'm signaling to my brain, you took a little time today. So like, it's funny because during COVID, I got dressed every day. I put on shoes every day. I put on a collared shirt. I was signaling to my body, because if I put on slippers and sweatpants, I'm signaling to my body it's time to go to sleep. If I'm putting on a blazer and nice shoes, I'm signaling to my body, let's go. So I'm always using clothes to signal to my brain it's time to get to work, Buck.
I'm the total opposite. I get so stiff.
You're sitting there in your underwear and shorts.
No, I mean, I'm not kidding you. Hey!
Yeah, that type of show now.
Yeah, right. Well, I thought of you when I was setting up, because I was like, Buck used to never wear pants when he would record the Buck show. Never wore pants.
Because I was warm. Like, full disclosure, I was just a hot person. The lights I was using were those home, like, there's so many nice ring lights now. I was using like work lights from Home Depot. So I would put on a blazer, I'd put on my mic pack, and I would just sit there in like my cargo shorts and no shoes so I could just stay cool as I was sweating. So
you were a very affirmative, is that the word I'm looking for? Affirming. Well, again, one of my favorite things is on your Instagram, you're always giving yourself a hug and saying a lot of affirmations. And I'm obsessed with that. One of the gifts that my friends got me, because they know I'm into that, is they got me, it's like a 30-day deck of cards, and you just shuffle it once a month, and every day you pick one up, and it says something to set yourself a goal or a mindset of each day. And that's how I'm so happy every day, is because that small moment during the morning time, I make my bed and then I read that card, because I already accomplished one thing to start the day off. and then I'm putting myself in a good mindset, and that's how I'm always happy for the most part. But I would love, since you are the king of affirmation, if you would want to start off this interview with an affirmation.
Oh my God. So when it's funny that you say that, and when I'm coaching people who are really negative, I stay away from affirmations because their brain is so far away. My brain is very positive. So like if you're like, life sucks and I hate my parents, and you're like, just think affirmations, it's like, fuck you. So again, I can handle affirmations, but some people are listening and they're like, fuck that. So if you're a negative person, I encourage neutral thinking. I love neutral
Turn
thinking.
it off. Yeah.
Like that's how we get positive thinking. We don't become negative positive. We become negative to neutral the positive. But I am wired for affirmation. So I mean, my brain generally goes to, when I'm affirming, I say, thank you, God. Thank you, universe. I have all I need to be grateful and successful today. Something simple like that. It's always thank you, God. Thank you, universe. I have all I need to be successful today. And it's funny. I'm always in prayer and self-talk. Like, it's not like I'm in crisis and I start praying. I'm always praying. It's not like I'm feeling bad and I start self-talking. I am someone at this age who's I'm always in prayer and self-talk.
I know. I mean, I'm the same way. Do you? Because you said thank you. Maybe I'm a little unique, but one of the things that I've picked up, and it's from the what's that Netflix show where and they're getting rid of like shit and like they're like the hoarders and they're getting rid of the
magic changing art of tidying up.
Yes. One of the things that I've taken from that show, and it's been years that I'm doing, and it makes me emotional in a really interesting way, and I'll never be able to figure out why. But when I need to let something go, whether it's something materialistic or what, I literally say thank you to the item. I think about at what point in time it meant something to me. And then I let it go. Me saying thank you for this. Like when I moved out of my last apartment, I moved here. I had so many 5 years worth of memories. I lived with a boyfriend in that apartment. There was the walls could speak volumes in that apartment. And I'll never forget. Everything was packed up. There was nothing left in the apartment. My parents were ready to go. And I said, I'll be right back. Because I knew if I did not say thank you to that place, it would always linger in the back of my mind. I remember walking into the bedroom, closing my eyes, and I just said, thank you. And I left. And I knew because I thanked this physical place for creating so much of my life. And it's even dumb things like this is so stupid, but I was, going through old Halloween decorations. There's a lot of them, things like that bring sentimental value, but I don't need them anymore. There's no space, in my apartment for these things. So some of these things I said thank you when I would put them on the curb, and now someone else can enjoy those items. And I hope that those things bring as much joy that to them as they brought to me. Is there anything in your life that you've had to say thank you to and let go that sticks out on the top of your head?
I mean, I'm a minimalist. I read that book and I watched, these are the only books I have in the world. Like I used to have an entire house, a library full of books. I did it with my clothes. I did it with my books. I have no really possessions anymore. Like I have a desk. I have a computer. I've got the clothes I wear. And I used to be deeply attached to things. I had an attic. I had a basement. I had a lifetime full of playbills. When I was in the school play, people wrote nice things to me. And I did the same thing. I love you. This was important to me. I no longer need this. It no longer serves me. I always tell people I have memories. I don't need the stuff. So if it's really, I'll take a picture of it and maybe save it, but I don't need. I never want to be in a world where I'm just going through Tupperwares of like crap. And again, I'm 46 years old. Like I don't need things. Like I feel so detached from possessions and it's beautiful. And I was obsessed with possessions. I would buy every book. I'd buy every DVD. I'd buy every CD. I was a collector of comic books. And so it feels, the emotion is freedom. Like I touch my shoulders because I could pack all my stuff tomorrow and I would still be fine. Like I don't need anything. I love that feeling of not needing anything. I want something, but I don't need anything.
I say that all the time. I always say I want things. I don't need things. I want a boyfriend. I don't need a boyfriend. Like that's the kind of mentality that I have. And it's funny because as you said that, it made me think about the reason why I have so many friends that live in houses now, because I am of age of being a homeowner. The idea of owning a house is so stressful to me. Not even the financial thing, but just like you said, I'm now gonna have to furnish a basement and a sunroom and get a giant china cabinet for the dining room to fill up. I'm like, I have everything I need in this apartment, and I'm so happy. And I haven't. And if anything goes awry, I mean, God forbid, I can just easily pack up my life, put it in my car, and go find the next destination.
I hope I never
Like,
live in a world where I have a dining room ever again. It's such a waste of time.
it
Why would I
really
have a
fucking is.
dining room? It's like it's so heteronormative and we're so brainwashed. And again, I was married. I had 2 houses. I get the desire, but also now I live in a basement. I have no possessions. I've never been more happy. I've never been more fulfilled. And I don't know, like I'm not poo-pooing traditional things, but I do think we're brainwashed. What do I want? I want to own a home. Why? Because
Yeah.
the world will think I'm successful. Okay. Or, I don't know. And again, I love
Like, no offense, like, no one fucking cares about your house. Like, that's why I was like, no one's gonna fucking care about your house.
But I never want a guest room. I never want a dining room. I never want, again, and then you buy, I remember I just had like a den that just was, I never went in it. Like, why?
Yeah.
I had a den. Like, what was this den? Like, I had
For the dogs, that was it.
I didn't go in half the rooms. And then at one point I was about to buy a 5,000 square foot house. I'm like, oh, and that just is such a, like, when you're not really supervising your life, you just start filling it with things. So I remember wandering around my house, which was plenty big, and suddenly I start thinking I should have a bigger house. What? And so again, that's the lunacy of having money too. You just think I have all this money, I should spend it on something.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So if someone come up to you at a bar and
What am
asks,
I doing at a
"Who
bar?"
are you?" Finding a man. If someone come up to you at a bar and asked you who you are, how would you describe yourself?
How would I
love
describe
this question.
myself?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Right?
what do I do is different than who I am. I guess I don't know. Like, hi, who are you? I probably would just say something silly like, I'm Michael Buckley. I'm a delightful human being having a lovely human experience. Who are you? Who the hell are
I love
you?
that.
I don't know. I don't know what I would say other than, I don't know. I see myself as just a human being having a lovely human experience. Maybe that's the simple answer. I'm a human being having a lovely human experience. And people would be like,
Mhm.
okay, shut
Mhm.
up.
And then for your career, how would you describe what you do as a career in general?
So I am the personal and professional development coach for a marvelous senior living management company, Arrow Senior Living. And so I am basically their life coach. I work with them on leadership and I work with them on
Mhm.
development, and it is ridiculously fun and fulfilling.
Mhm. I love that. So let's talk about how you got there, because your story is amazing and I love it. And you've don't what do you mean? No.
No,
Your
I said
story is
thanks.
oh, the face you gave me was like, we
No,
in
I
danger, girl.
agree.
Like
No,
we're
I
about to go down.
agree. No, my story is amazing, and I'm very, I agree. I'm just saying thank
Mhm.
you.
Oh, yes. So for those at home who do not know, Michael had a very illustrious YouTube career for about a decade. He was one of the OG YouTubers, and you couldn't go on that website without seeing his face. He covered all pop culture events. That's how he rose to fame. 2016, you retired from YouTube because the platform changed. Your life desires changed, and after we've gotten to know you just for a little bit, it's very obvious that that materialistic, number-driven, algorithm-infested world was not bringing you joy anymore. And you left. And you left with like 25 million views, a million subscribers, and you said, you know what? But you made an example of, this isn't forever. This is just a job. That's all this ever was, is a job. And people leave jobs, and that's okay. And you need to sometimes just hang up the hat. You did what you could do there. You made the impact you did. You paved a road. You opened doors for people. You inspired people that you had never even met. And now you're out there helping you with everything you've learned in your life. You're now applying that to your new career. So when you knew it was time to transition out, were you nervous about losing a part of your identity? And if you did lose a part of your identity, how did you, not course correct, but like, how did you just find yourself and find your purpose and tell yourself that this was okay? I didn't fail. I left.
Oh, I
Now
did
I'm-
fail. No, I didn't. So, I mean, it's funny because you said it was a job. I never felt it was a job. It was a lifestyle. Like, I love when YouTubers call it, this is not a job. I worked at Burger King. I worked at the supermarket deli. I know what it is
That's
to
a
have a
job.
job.
Yeah.
It was a career and a lifestyle. And I did fail in many ways. And it's funny because you just said 25 million views. I had 400 million views, but who's counting? So, I mean, I had 400 million views, and again, I was one of the first people doing it, and there was no clear path. And it's not like a normal career where it's like, oh, I'm a teacher and I know I'm going to have the summers off, or oh, I'm an actor and I'm going to have a movie role and then I'm going to take time off and maybe do a sitcom. I really was it was like the first round of being a YouTuber was me. And I remember being on CNN in 2008 and being on the front page of the New York Times, and people were like, who's this idiot making all this money talking about the Jonas Brothers? Like, I remember people, interviewers from TV shows coming to my house and being irritated. They're like, how much money are you making? And do you have a degree in journalism? I'm like, no, I'm just hilarious. But I mean, I did fail. I mean, to be honest, the most interesting part of my story is at the end of it, I always tell people, I was done with YouTube and YouTube was done with me and it was time to do something else. I did it for 10 years. I was Michael Buckley, What the Buck Show, talking head. That's plenty. So I feel now, with the lens of 5 or so years, I feel so much pride and so much gratitude, but it was challenging to leave because I didn't want to leave like and put my tail between my legs, and I did feel like it was because I mean the term of irrelevant, I had become irrelevant. I was a must-watch show that got millions of views, and then just to watch, oh, nobody's watching, and if they were watching, it was like, oh, it's sad, he's still here. Remember when he was famous? And that didn't really negatively impact me because I was 37, 38 years old. I had a fully formed opinion of myself, but it was very painful, but I did fail, and I did not wish to sustain it. I did not wish to reinvent. I did not, I had great advice. I had great people who were in my ear, but I was done. I always say too, I had created an online version of myself that I did not wish to maintain. I was overly opinionated, overly amped up. I was not, by 2016, I could care less about pop culture. I had become someone who only wanted to have useful opinions in the world, and there I was going on for the sake of comedy, having opinions about everything. So I was no longer willing or interested in being that person. And so I am so grateful that I had all those years, and all of it, even the messiness of it, was remarkable and fun. And then, was it hard to kind of do something else? It's always the decision. It was always like when I quitting drinking was easy. Deciding to quit drinking was challenging. When I left YouTube, it was easy. Deciding to leave YouTube was challenging. But on the other, I loved who I was and who I got to be. And for people like you to remember me fondly is just like, I feel so grateful that I got to be that person for so many, young people for 10 years.
You say your purpose is to be an example of joy and possibility, and I love that. I like that possibility. What is your joy rooted in, and does that come from the way that you were raised, where you always knew that you wanted to be a beacon of joy and nothing less than that?
I definitely don't know if that I wanted to. I love joy. I think joy has always been like my best strength. And I think all through my life, I always felt joyful, even in the moments when I was not happy, like when I was being picked on as a child or when I was going through difficult times in my life. I wasn't happy, but I did feel joyful. So I do think joy has always been my best underlying emotion. And I definitely I've always embraced it, and I always choose it. And I always think that my life was based in joy, because no matter what I was doing for a living, when I worked at Burger King, I was joyful. When I was a YouTuber, I was joyful. And now that I'm a coach, I'm joyful. So again, I was never looking outside of myself. I was never looking to YouTube to give give me fulfillment. I was never looking outside of myself. So I think I always knew that the joy and the fulfillment was within me, regardless of what I happen to be doing for a living or who I happen to be dating or married to. So it is interesting that my emotional intelligence was pretty high at a young age, that I knew that I was creating joy and fulfillment within myself.
As you said that, it reminded me of this quote that I actually talked about this a few episodes ago, from this like big yogi, Sadhguru, and it was talking about joy, and he was saying that a career isn't joyful, a car ride isn't joyful. Like those things can't have joy. You are joyful. So you working that job makes that job joyful. But then once you leave that job is no longer attached to you. So you saying that, it hits it right in the nail head for everyone at home. It's like rewire your mindset.
And your thoughts create your joy, because we could be doing the same thing and I'm finding it joyful and you finding it dumb. What's the difference? My thoughts about it. So again, I'm responsible. Really, it's the best job in the world, the worst job in the world, the same job. But same with a marriage. Like we always think marriage is so weird. It's like, oh, I fell out. I when I got married, I thought you were the one, and then the moment I didn't, I thought you were not the one. What's changed? Nothing. My thoughts about you. So again, my thoughts about my YouTube career brought me joy and fulfillment, and then one day I was like, I'm done, and now they bring me peace and resolution and closure. So again, it is your thoughts about your world that create, your emotional experience, which they need to teach this to children. Otherwise, they're looking for drugs, or they're looking for sex, or they're looking for affirmation from other people. And if you're looking for it, that's the thing. When you start YouTube and you're waiting for comments and compliments, if you don't give it to yourself, there's not enough in the world from a stranger on the internet telling you you're hot on Instagram or you're funny on YouTube. There's never enough. So you've got to give it to yourself all day, every day.
What's the one thing that you do miss about your YouTube career? Like, what's like the one thing you're like, oh, like I would relive that over and over again?
I hate to say nothing, but I'm just not, I hate to say this because it sounds like I don't, but I'm not someone who misses something. If you said, what do you miss about high school? I'd say nothing. Really?
Who fucking misses high school?
College, the food, but no, I loved high school. I loved college. I loved YouTube. I just don't miss things. I'm so present. I'm talking to you right now. So I would have to interrupt that and think back 10 years ago and ask, and I'd be lying. I miss the attention, the fame, the money, the easy income. I don't miss anything. If I wanted that, I'd go back and create that again. So, and it was, I don't know. So I don't miss anything. I do still feel connected with fans of the What the Buck show, because I'll see them on Instagram, or I'll get an email occasionally. And so I do feel like I still get to connect with the people who enjoyed watching me. But no, I don't miss things. If I missed it, I would go back to it and I would start a different whatever. But no, I don't miss anything. I'm not a misser. It's not I don't miss things, because I know what it's like to miss things. I was like that a lot. Like I missed the school play, or I missed my friends over summer vacation. And now it is today, and I'm not thinking about the future. I'm not worried about the past. I'm just so enjoying talking to you. So I don't miss anything. I'm just grateful and fulfilled and enjoying the previous thoughts. But if you said, what would you want again? Nothing. Not even the free shit in the mail. Not even the free trips around the world. Not even go stand on the red carpet and talk to these celebrities. Do I miss it? Nah. Was it wonderful? Yep. Do I miss it? Nope. Was it wonderful? Yep.
Well, as you were saying that, it all of a sudden clicked. I was like, why did I say 25 million if there was 400 million? Because
400 million.
Because, well, the reason why I had that number was because when I was making sure I had all my numbers right, because that is the amount of views of public videos that you have now, because
like 2,000 videos are private or whatever.
You archived that, which perfect, because I have a statement of yours, as you said last year, about that I want to talk about, because the second I read that, it just, I was like, relatable. So on your actual website, you made a blog post last June talking about how you quietly hid your YouTube channels and a lot of that content. So you went ahead and you revisited that part of you, that past, that personality. You were like, I said a lot of things that people could have taken the wrong way. They haven't yet, but let me get ahead of it and just realize that this is like me slut shaming, me making these jokes is problematic. Like it was comedy back in 2006. It ain't comedy now in 2020. And you said, as I started watching old videos, I was amused by most of it. And I knew it was well intended, but what if some kid or anyone new, someone was on it in 2025. I don't want to leave it there. It felt irresponsible. That was such a good quote. And you said, it felt like I was in a home for 10 years and I moved out and left it unattended for people to discover old Michael Buckley. I would rather make a new first impression with the world rather than my 2 girls, 1 cup reaction or making jokes about Miley Cyrus. But then you ended it with, ironically enough, P.S. My pole shaped dancing video is still up to bring joy to the world. I remain happily out of the YouTube game. You saying that it would have been irresponsible for you to have left that out there the second I read that, I was like, wow, because we all make mistakes. We all grew up at different periods and times, and we're all learning. The only difference with us than our parents is that a lot of that has been documented on the internet. But it is our responsibility as individuals to make sure that who we are and who we want people to see us as is always represented, because you don't want an old version of you that you've killed off and you've thrown 6 feet under to ever affect someone now.
Well, it's interesting because like when I wrote that post, I don't feel embarrassed about my previous content. And I don't feel defensive. I'm not like, like I said, like I grew up where I was watching, All in the Family, and it was, racist jokes and Jewish jokes and all that joke. And so I was very much a product of, and also shock jocks on the radio. And so again, the world has changed and I have changed. So I was happy to just private some of those videos, knowing that someday I might repurpose them with some context.
What's your favorite mantra? Like, if you had a tombstone, God forbid you pass away anytime soon, and you were to put a mantra on that tombstone, what would it be?
I think it would be, it would have to be something about God. So it would say Michael Buckley. It would say he was a beloved child of God. He lived with great joy and purpose. I think, he loved life regardless of life. That's one of my things that I always tell people. I love life regardless of life, not just when life is going my way. How dare I not love myself or others or my life unconditionally? So I think that's my great takeaway from life is I loved myself unconditionally. I loved everybody unconditionally. And I love life regardless of life, which again, during COVID and all that stuff, if you're not loving life regardless of life, it's way extra painful and a lot more suffering. So I signed up for the human experience, and it's all of this,
What was the darkest point in your life, and how did you find joy out of that?
Oh my God. I guess probably the summer of like 2015, I was heavily drinking. Much of my life was fueled by alcohol. I was really in career crisis. I was still, a YouTuber, but not enjoying it and knowing I needed to do something different with my life. So it was a combination of drinking heavily, career indecision. I had gotten divorced that year. One of my dogs died. So it was just like the year of like crap. But that was I always tell people, that was the most important year of my life. There is no me sitting here without that year. Like when I was just rich and successful and getting lots of views on YouTube, I wasn't learning that much about myself. 2015, when I was drunk on the couch, wondering what the hell I was going to do with the rest of my life, I did find light and joy in God. I did found light and joy with working with a coach. So I always tell people I'm the product of God and I'm the product of coaching. And I was always the problem and I was always the solution. That's what I always tell people. Like the problem was never my ex-husband. The problem was never YouTube algorithm. I was always the problem and I was always the solution. And God was always there loving me every step of the way.
You're like actually choking me up, because as you kept saying that, because people, oh God, wow, why am I getting emotional? Because I kept seeing your tattoo peek out, and I also have one on my wrist, and this tattoo is in reference to that period in my life, like my darkest moment, and how had I not gone through that, I would not be the person I am today. And thank fucking God I went through that, because thank fucking God I'm who I am today. And people who are closest to me always will roll their eyes when I've referenced that period of time, and they always say things like, why do you still care so much about the time? Because that was like that. I will forever, for the rest of my life, look back at that moment when that is when Sam became Sam, because I went through an awful breakup after dating someone for 4 years, and we had a whole life together, and I had to make a decision of settle for this relationship and never be able to fully be who I am, and then drag this other person down with me, or allow us both to jump ship, kick them out of the ship, break their heart, but they'll find they will survive, and I will survive. And the reason why, so I want to talk about tattoos too. So my tattoo here is 3 sevens, 777. Here we go. The strip show begins. Shmee after dark. And so, this is because after you go through breakup, you kind of regret it a little bit, and you think to yourself, did I make the right decision? Maybe I want that person back. And I kept having, it was the first 2 months, and I kept having dreams. Like the dream could be this interview, but then a random moment would always occur, the same moment, where my ex would text me, and all the text would say is 777. And eventually I remembered, I was like, I keep having that moment in all these random dreams. What does that mean? So I Googled, what the fuck does 777 mean? And it's an angel number from the universe trying to tell you, remind you, you've just made a drastic life decision, but making that decision has now put you back on track for your destiny. And every moment, Michael, in my life since that moment, when something good has happened to my life, I see 777. And so I got it tattooed on me. And then my other one is on my ribs. And it says it's always darkest before the dawn. Because that's my life mantra. Is it? Because it is. I mean, it's literally true, but it's also like, the figurative. So tell me about some of your favorite tattoos.
It's funny because I have a YouTube play button, and I was, again, this is my first tattoo. I was probably a little drunk. It's so big. If I had known I was going to get this many tattoos, I would have gotten it.
Yeah.
Again, it is what it is. And I love it. It's silly. I also have the words joy and purpose because I'm full of joy and purpose. This was my childhood vision board. When I was a child, I had a vision board with a smiley face, a dollar sign, and a heart. Because again, even as a child, I was manifesting happiness, love, and wealth. I love this quote. It says, every spare second is an opportunity to be grateful and multiply the things you love. That's a picture of me that the CEO and my friend of my company, Arrow Senior Living, Amanda, drew of me. Arrow is the company I work for. So it's funny that was my career and then that was my career. I love myself as is. So it says as is. I'm all into life. There's Cape Cod where I'm from. I don't know. I love it. That was like a penis, but it's a lighthouse. But I have an Olympic tattoo, so if you see me on Grindr and you're like, he's catfishing me, he's an Olympian. I just like the Olympics, bitch. I'm sorry.
This is a question that I know that you will love because it's a very life coach type question. And whenever I've asked other people that, they're like, what? And I'm like, Michael's going to eat this up. So if you were to be able to go back in time and tell your 12-year-old self one thing, what would you say? And what do you think your 12-year-old self would think of you today?
Oh my, I think, so that's like, so I think he would be delighted by me. I think he would be very amused by me. I think I always thought I was the funniest thing alive. So I'm pretty sure he would think I was so hilarious. I think he would be really, really, really proud of me. I think he would be surprised, but not surprised how it all turned out. And I also, what would you want to tell him? I hate to be like this, but nothing. I always think he'll figure it out just like I did. You know, there's nothing I would want 12-year-old know to me. I didn't need to know what I needed to know till I was 28, 38, 46. And, you know, so I would never grab me and shake me and say, it's going to be okay. Or I would never grab me and shake me and say, you're responsible for your emotions. Or, you know, you're meant to have many great loves and many, I figured it out. So I wouldn't want to miss out on the opportunity that, I told myself. So to answer, I apologize that I don't have a better answer. I could lie and be like, here's a good answer for your show, but I wouldn't tell him a goddamn thing. He'll figure it out just like I did.
No, I love that. It's the truth. I would tell myself, tell the truth and live your truth. That's it. Because again, as queer men, we grow up having to live a lie and then learn how to undo that lie in our adult years. And we always find ourselves, because it's easy, it becomes a habit. Like lying becomes part of our identity, unfortunately. And that's what I would tell myself, like, just fucking stop lying about shit and live your life. One final question I have for you, Michael, is what is the last thing that you think about every day?
Think about God. I do. I think about God. I'm thinking about God. I honestly, I think I feel the word is giddy. I always feel giddy, and I think I think a lot about flag football because it's flag football season, and I get really excited about flag football.
Yeah.
I think about my day and I think about the interactions, really small moments I have with my family and really great moments I have with my clients, and maybe a great play I made at flag football or a nice message I got on Instagram. And I'm basically just counting my blessings and my gratitudes and kind of putting a bow on the day. And I go to bed with and anything I need to let go of, or if something was bothering me, I let go of it immediately. I never think about, like, that's why it's funny when something is bothering me, I love to just kind of process it and move on versus, so I go to bed and I just count my blessings, I replay my day, and I think about God, I can't wait to wake up tomorrow and just do this again. I feel so lucky to be alive. I feel so grateful that this is my life. And so I love going to sleep every night and I love waking up every morning and getting to just do it again. This is such a happy chapter of my life. Like, I just want to enjoy every moment of it. So I am just so present and so grateful. And so I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and just share that with, the people who watch your show. So thank you.
No, thank you. I can't seriously thank you enough for existing as if it was up to you to exist. Thank you to Buck's parents for birthing him into this world. But you are just a solid example of resilience, because you looked life dead in the eye, and you said, I'm just gonna be me, and I'm gonna put on the seatbelt of this roller coaster. The dips it goes down, I'm gonna be fine, because the only way to go down is up. I know that no matter when I go down, the only way to go down or to go from here is up. And you've just always been someone who reminded me to not take life fucking too seriously, because it's so easy to get wrapped up in all the noise. And then I'll come in and I'll see you and I'm like, Sam, you need to chill the fuck out. And I can't thank you enough for that. And I know that the good that you're doing for the world around you, and it may feel like a small little bubble, but the ripple effect of that is so great, because for 13 years of my life, you've been a voice that's been present in the back of my head to keep going. And I also, again, just can't thank you enough. And that's it. So thank you for coming on the Shmee Show. Is there anything else you want to tell people before you leave?
No, I want to tell people that, believe in yourself and believe everything is possible, and, stop negotiating your worthiness, your lovability, and your self-esteem, and, shine bright in the world, because that gives permission to other people to shine, and just have so much fun. Like you just said about life is pretty serious, or it's also hilarious. So, when I used to do stand-up, I would tell jokes about death, and I would say, my dead mother ran over my dead dog. Laughter is all I have. So again, it's like, I want to be the light, and I want to see the light, and I want to bring the light. And even if the world is giving me whatever they're giving me, I'm still going to be an example of joy and possibility. And so I thank you for your kind words. And I will, believe me, when I go to bed tonight, I'll be thinking of your kind words. So thank you, Sam.
All right. Well, ditto. All right, Michael, well, have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you later.
Thank you.
Right, bye.
Detective Wilson! Detective Wilson! Detective Wilson, please stop!
Yes, Mr. Pell.
I was thinking, with all the time I've spent here over the years, I kind of got curious with the job in this field.
Oh, you thought you...
You left my family and I with no choice but to learn how to survive on our own, leaving my brother, my fiance, and I to solve our own mysteries.
You know, the mystery that I would love to solve is why your family is behind every crime that happens in this town.
My family and I are gonna stay out of trouble, I promise. Mitzi? At least, once you find Mitzi, that is.
Mitzi, no middle name, no last name Johnson, is wanted dead or alive for the attempted murder of Dylan Pell, my brother-in-law.
Twink King?
You're a twink.
This family is a bunch of liars and killers. They are a bunch of criminals running around pretending that they're saints. You can't trust them. It's been going on for way too long.
I cannot believe my sons are two African witches.
That's racist.
Black magic originated in Africa.
Touche. This has gotta be a joke.
Sib! Your favorite beast ever customer's back!
What is that?
Oh, it's just blood. No, it's not my blood. What? You said to make sure the apartment was filled with pink penises.
I said pink peonies. They're Vinny's favorite flower.
Oh.
I like pink penises too, so... Come on.
And now, this psycho is back from the dead and after us.
God, plot twist.
You in danger, girl.
Oh my god, you guys, the season's over. I'm actually in shock. I'm actually in shock because this entire season has felt so fucking surreal. It still has not hit me that I've interviewed all the people that I interviewed. I mean, people that are on my bedroom wall, people that I've been inspired by and motivated by since 2005. Hey, Alex. And then this conversation with Michael Buckley, again, someone who has been in my mind since I was 17 years old. Wow. So, thank you for being here. I do want to share another piece with you guys and share my thank yous to everyone. So, as you know, this show was a dream come true because I have always wanted to have a talk show. And I've always wanted to be the face of my own brand because I have lived a very, very blessed life, but that doesn't mean that it was always rainbows and puppies and sunlight. And I always wanted to show people the best of me. And doing that, it painted a picture where they assume that everything was always great, and it's always not. And at one point in time in my life, I will share my full story, the director's cut version, as some people call it. Today's not that day. But what I do want to tell you guys is chase your dreams. Go out there. If you are not happy in your life, change your life. Because only you are responsible for your life. Because what is that saying? It's something like, a goal without a plan is a dream. But a dream without an action is a nightmare. And I remember when I wanted to do the show, and I was so excited. But then before I knew it, I got in way over my head because I was reaching out to interview people when I didn't even have a show to put them on. Because I've always been that person to chase the action before solidifying the dream. It all worked out in the end, clearly. Hi. But I want that to inspire you that you don't need it to be a perfect plan. You don't need to have all your ducks in a row to chase your dreams. Because I did not. I was still working that awful, awful office job. I had no idea that in 2 months of me starting this show, because I started creating the show and reaching out to people in February, that in 2 months I was going to be in a whole different spot in my life. But I didn't wait for that to happen. I started the action immediately to get it going and to make sure that if and when it happened, I was prepared. Because a lot of times, people like me who have anxiety, we wait for things to be the perfect time, thinking that when it is, it'll go over well. But first, that is expectation, and you should never put any sort of feelings or weight or money on expectation, because expectation leads to heartbreak. And that is like William Shakespeare, hey girl. And this show is not a heartbreak, because I didn't have any expectations. I just said, I want to do this show, so I'm going to do it. And to every single person that watched, thank you for believing in this show. To every single guest I had on, thank you for believing in me. Because it makes me, I'm getting a little choked up, because it makes me feel like I did something right, that you saw something in me. Because there wasn't even a real show when I asked some of you guys to come on. But you still saw something in me that you knew you giving me an hour of your time was worth your time. Because we can't get back time. And I know how precious time is. So thank you to every guest I had on this season. Because not only have you always shared kind words after the interviews, not only did you make me feel validated, but you made me feel seen. Because there's so much noise out there in the world. And the fact that you drowned it out and you didn't see me as more noise, but you saw me as a person with a dream and a passion, and that you wanted to be part of it. That means more than anything I could ever get in the entire world. Thank you again. And thank you to every single person that tuned in this season, because you did make my dreams come true, because you kept me motivated. There were days where I was so overwhelmed with other things in my life that it was hard to turn on this camera and hit record. I'm not gonna lie. It was hard today, actually. I think part of it was that I don't want the show to end, so I didn't want to set it all up. But there was the other part of me that was like, that thought to myself, why? I was in one of those moods today of why? Because this is what I want to do with my life. And I can't let a chemical imbalance in my brain, I can't let outside negativity, I can't let all the noise stop me from being me and sharing my story and sharing everyone's story that was showcased this season, because I believe that is my purpose and I'm going to fulfill it. I'm already fulfilling it. And that's what's so exciting. So do not give up on your dreams, whatever it may be. Just start it now. If not now, when? If not now, when? Do it. Even if it fails. I said this in almost every single interview. Even if it fails, at least you say you tried. You can go to bed at night knowing you tried. And when your time comes and you pass away on your deathbed, you won't have any regrets. Because at this moment in my life, I have no regrets. Because everything is happening the way it's supposed to, and I feel that in my bones. So go out there and take over the world, in whatever world that may be. You're enough. Do it, because I said so. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. I can't say enough thank yous. I'm not gonna get up here and give an Oscar award-winning thank you list of people. I don't have time for that, and you know who you are. But I do want to thank Michael Buckley for coming on the Shmee Show today. I do want to thank my correspondents, Ryan Ross, Kelly Fitzpatrick, and Greg Contaldi for all the fun we had this season. Shout out to my cousin Taylor, who helped me produce that amazing UP segment. Shout out to Nikki Thomas for also being on the Shmee Show many times this season. Shout out to Chris/Crystal Envy for getting me up to drag. That was my highlight of the season. And again, just shout out to every single person who was a part of the show this season. This was so fucking cool. This is a dream come true. And we did that. All right, everyone, I will see you very soon. Enjoy your fall. I don't know when I'll see you next, but I promise it'll be sooner than later. Have a great day, and always choose 100% pure joy. Bye!